Microphone check 1 2 1 2 in the place to be. It's your boy the network. Back with another live stream. We 30 minutes late today. Typically I stream Monday through Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Was taking a week hiatus. Had a lot of things with work. So I said, man, I'm gonna have to cut back on this streaming. I almost didn't stream today. Y'all hit me with a bruh in the chat if y'all can hear me. Today we're going to do OSPF version 3, which is basically the IPv6 version of OSPF. This is the lab we're going to be working with. Let me go ahead and bring up that topology. Y'all know how I do with my little annotations and stuff. We're going to be... It's a big network here, right? Pretty big, pretty sizable network here. We got about, what, 10 routers in here? Got about 10 routers in here, right? But... don't worry about all those. Don't get intimidated here. We're going to be worried about these guys that are right in here. Loop. Let me make that a little thicker. We're just going to worry about these guys that are highlighted right there. Right in there, right? Those 5 guys right there. Not the restaurant. I want the brush. And I want it thick. Just like I like my women. Just like that. There you go. Them 5 guys right there. We'll give it some time for some people to tune in. We got Diane Foster in the building. Appreciate you for tuning in. Just a quick little lab we're going to do on OSPF version 3. Again, that's the IPv6 version. I'm going to give it a couple minutes for some people to tune in. Again, we're just going to be aware of this is a single area OSPF, right? We're working just one area. So we're back to doing single area, but we're just going to be working with IPv6 addresses, right? Or interfaces, rather. While we get some people to tune in, we're going to see what we got in the news today. In the IT world, Hacker News reports, this is from hackernews.com, critical flaw found in older Cisco small business routers. And guess what? That flaw won't be fixed. So if you got this router, or at least any of these models right here, the RV110W, the RV130, RV130W, RV215, there's a flaw in it, right? So a critical vulnerability in Cisco small business routers will not be patched by the networking equipment giant since the devices reached end of life of 2019. Tracked as CVE, blah, 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 blah. It's got a CVS score of 9.8. The issue resides in the router's universal plug-and-play service, enabling an unauthenticated remote attacker to execute arbitrary code or cause an affected device to restart unexpectedly, resulting in a denial of service condition, or DOS attack, right? The vulnerability, which the company said is due to improper validation of incoming UPnP traffic, could be abused to send a specially crafted UPnP request to the affected device, resulting in remote code execution as the root user, on the underlying operating system. So basically, they can hack into your router if you have this model, and they don't plan on patching it or providing any kind of security updates for it or anything like that. So you might as well go ahead and trash it or upgrade. Cisco has not released and will not release software updates to address the vulnerability. The company noted it in an advisory published Wednesday. Oh, this article is about 2 weeks old. So when they said Wednesday, they were talking about Wednesday of that week, which was what is that? August 19. So August 19 was 2 Thursdays ago. Well, it was Thursday. So they released that statement on August 18th, basically. The small business routers, RV110, 130, are the ones that I mentioned earlier, have entered the end of life process. Customers are encouraged to migrate to the Cisco small business, and they provided these new models. So basically, they was like, you know what? If you got these old models right here, they got a flaw, and we're not releasing any kind of updates to it. So go ahead and update to these new routers that we have, so we can make more money off of you, and we won't be held liable once you get hacked with these older versions of these routers. So that's basically what they're saying right there. So yeah, these are not like enterprise level routers or anything like that. They're mostly used in small businesses or small offices and stuff. They call them Soho routers, right? So give it a couple more minutes for some people to tune in. Y'all hit me with a bruh if y'all can hear me. I know Diane can hear me. So just making sure y'all know I've been Sometimes my microphone don't work or I got the wrong mic turned on. I guess we can get started. Again, we're just going to be working with these 5 routers right in here. Turning on OSPF version 3. Right, we're going to be using Boson NetSim today, version 13. I'm almost close to my goal. Y'all know I'm going to give away a copy of this application once I get to 5,000 subscribers. I'm almost there. I want to say about 500 more subscribers. So if y'all can spread the word, tell them to join my channel. I'm going to be giving away a copy of this application, the full suite, right? The CCNA, Encore, the NRC. It has all these labs in here. So I'll be giving away a copy of this once I get to my goal. So let's go ahead and get started with this lab instructions here. Configure OSPF version 3. For the core of the mixed IPv4 and IPv6 environment, verify connectivity between all IPv6 capable devices within the core network. Use show commands to verify OSPF version 3 operation. Again, we're going to be working with these 5 routers in the middle. Don't get hung up on these other guys that are, they're in the cloud and they've been ghosted, as you can see. These are some basic commands here that we'll be working with. We all know configure terminal. Once we get to that'll get us in global config mode. Clearing the IPv process. Notice when we work with IPv6, just change everything that say IP to IPv6. So if you want to look at some interfaces, right, you show IPv6 interface brief. Same thing with the routing process. Clear IPv6 OSPF process, right? Anything that word IP, the IP keyword, we're just replacing it with IPv6 since we're dealing with IPv6, right? Same thing with IP addresses and stuff like that. Nothing to note with IPv6 OSPF version 3. We don't really deal with network statements. We put the interfaces. It's interface specific. So we go to the interface. And then specifically put that interface in the OSPF process. Remember, there's 2 ways we can do it with IPv6. Where you do router, OSPF, and then process ID 1, right? And then you do the network statements. Well, with IPv6, we don't do network statements. We just go in the interface and then type in this command right here. They just showed us right over here, right there. IPv6, OSPF, and the process ID, area, and the area ID, right? So let's go ahead and get started. Lab task 1, enable OSPF version 3 with an area 0. Y'all ready? Y'all ready? We got Professor Black Ops in the building. Sending people your way. I appreciate that, man. Small business need love too. Yeah, so I was just reading. Appreciate you for tuning in, Professor Black Ops. You came right on time. I was reading a CVE that was released. Cisco small business routers that's not going to be patching this flaw that they found in their small business routers. So they were end of life in 2019 and they said, we're not going to upgrade. We're not going to, patch this software. Go ahead and upgrade to our new versions of these routers, man. So that way we're not held liable and you can buy more of our shit. That's basically what they're doing there. So, but yeah, appreciate you for sending some viewers over this way, man. I'll be telling people about your channel too. So, y'all go ahead and subscribe to Professor Black Ops over there if y'all really into like cybersecurity or hacking and that kind of stuff. So OSPF version 3 requires the equivalent of an IPv4 address as a router ID to uniquely identify a router in a routing domain. Can this router ID be generated automatically? It can be in IPv4. I don't believe so in IPv6. I think you got to manually do this. If I remember correctly. If so, what are the selection criteria that a router uses to generate a OSPF version 3 router ID? Well, we know that to generate a router ID, it looks for the highest loopback address, right? First, it looks for the highest loopback address. If it's up, then it uses that IP address as the router ID. If that's not available, it goes to the next highest IP address of an up interface, right? And then if that's not available, you just can't start the routing OSPF process without a router ID. So if you have no IP addresses configured on your router, it's not going to give you a router ID. Or you can't even start processing OSPF. So before you configure an OSPF version 3 routing process on router 1, what feature should you ensure is enabled on router 1? Well, we know routing has to be enabled, but routing is already enabled on routers. We definitely need to turn on IPv6. Anybody know how to turn on IPv6 on a router? That's not on by default for the most part. How can we check too? Anybody want to put that in the chat there? How do you turn on IPv6 on the router? Y'all hit me that like button. And the way we can verify that it's even on is it show IPv6 routing. That's the routing table. I put routing, or did I put route? Yeah, I put route. Professor Blackops said, I was going to do a video stating they should patch the older router. Cisco gangstering small companies for their money. Hey, they got to do what they got to do, man. They know they couldn't do that to the enterprise networks, you know, like thousands of dollars worth of routing equipment, and say, hey, we're not going to patch these. Go ahead and upgrade to these $10,000, you know, $20,000. Like, we have an ASR router that we've been holding on strong, really strong. It's our VPN router and stuff like that. We've been holding on strong with that router. For us to upgrade that, it's like 30 grand. So for them to do that, it's like, nah, go ahead and patch this software, man. They can't really, they can do that. They can strong on the small businesses, but enterprise networks, they be hard pressed to do that. But yeah, that's so true. To turn on IPv6, we have to go to global config mode, and we say IPv6 unicast routing. That enables IPv6 on a router, right? I was waiting for somebody to answer that, but we're just gonna go ahead on with the show. Before you configure, so we did that. Router 1, create an OSPFv3 routing process that uses process ID 600 and ensure that the routing process is enabled. All right, so y'all remember how to turn on OSPF or enable OSPF on an IPv4 router. We said it was router and then OSPF and then a process ID. It's similar to that with for IPv6, but except we just put in a v3. So router OSPF and then v3 for version 3, right? That's the IPv6 version of OSPF, right? Then we do the routing process, which in this case they said 600. That puts us in the routing config mode. Then they said to ensure that the routing process is enabled, and I think we did that with this right here, IPv6 unicast routing. What else we need to do here? On router 1, display information about the running IPv6 protocols. Did router 1 automatically generate a router ID for the routing process? If so, what did it use as the router ID? Let's see here. Well, we know to check the protocols, we know it's show IP protocols, right? But we're working with IPv6. So it's, I remember I said to change everything that start with that has the IP keyword in our commands, we change that to IPv6. So in this case, show, instead of show IP protocols, which is just show us nothing because we're just that's dealing with IPv4. It show IPv6 protocols, and we just show that right there. It doesn't tell us anything about router ID, so no, I don't think it turned on anything for the router ID. We'd have to manually do that, I believe, so on IPv6. On router 1, identify all interfaces that connect to routers within area 0. Then enable OSPFv3 on those interfaces. Well, when we look at it, this is router 1 right here, right? This guy right here. There's router 1. We said this is area 0 right here. Here's the interfaces that it's in that area, right? This interface right here and that interface right there. This one is ghosted right here, like we do with the girls we don't want to talk to. That right there, we're not worried about that side, right? We worried about just these two interfaces right here. We need to find out what interfaces those are. So let's just do a show IPv6, right? Not show IP. So let's say show IPv6 interface brief. We have that is up. We have that is up, and then another one that is not assigned. So that's probably the 20 right here, that guy right there. And then we have these two that have IP addresses, but that don't really let us know. Let's just do show CDP neighbor. We have, yeah, so the private IP is connected to 20, right? This is the private IP. I forgot where it said that somewhere. And then we have 00 and 10 connected to router 2 and 5. So router 2 and 5. That's another way to verify, right? Verify. Sound like my boss over here. So we need to put FA00 and FA10 in the routing process for OSPF, right? So let's go back to global config mode. And remember, with IPv6, they're interface specific, so it's a little easier. We ain't got to worry about them network statements. Y'all got any questions or anything so far? So we're gonna go to, let's go to 00 first, right? No, yeah, 00. We need to do 00 and 10. So let's go interface FA00. We say IPv6 OSPF v3. No, we don't do that. We just do OSPF. And then the process ID, which is 600, question mark, and now you do the area, and it said area 0. That puts that interface in area 0. Much easier than network statements, especially in IPv6. So let's do the other interface. Interface FA, what was it, 10? I know I got the memory of a goldfish. IPv6, OSPF, 600, area 0. That should put them two interfaces in process ID 600 and area 0. We verify that with what? Show IPv6 protocols? No, that's not going to tell us. Show IPv6 OSPF. That should tell us. We have... that don't tell us what interfaces are in there. I don't think that'll tell us. But it does tell us that we have two interfaces in area 0. It just ain't going to tell us which interface they are. Anybody know a good command that's going to tell us which interfaces instead of doing like just show run interface blah blah blah? How can we tell which ones are participating in that process 600? We do show IP OSPF 600 like that. No, that ain't gonna tell us. What's another way? Database interface? Nope. FA00? Nope. That ain't gonna tell us either. Brief? You can put fasties in that brief? What the fuck? Interface brief? Nope. I don't know. Y'all tell me. Y'all let me know. But I'm pretty sure we put those two. Those are definitely the two interfaces that need to be in area 0. What's the next step? The next step. Y'all help me get to 5,000 subscribers, and I'll get you a copy of this application. That way we can do this together. The next step was display information about the routing protocols. Identify all our interfaces within area 0. We did that. On router 1, display information about OSPFv3 interfaces. Verify that all interfaces on router 1 that connect to routers within area 0 have been associated with process ID 600 and have been configured as members of area 0. Well, this only tells us that we have two interfaces in area 0. That's what that one tells us. But I wanted another command that's going to tell us. Well, I guess that lets us know that it's in process 600. And there goes our router ID right there. That's our router ID. So I guess it was automatically generated. I should have seen before. Y'all got any questions so far or anything? I don't know what other commands. That's another thing I like about Boson NetSim. If we don't know the answer, like I don't know the answer, what I want to try to find out what show command is going to give me this information here. So we're going to go task 1, question 6, right? So we could just go down here and see question 6. They said to run the command show IPv6 OSPF interface brief. Didn't I do that? Did I not do that? So let's see. I could have sworn I did that. Let's see. I did interface OSP. Oh, you got to leave out the number. Okay. Okay. All right. So see, that's what I like about this application here. So show IPv6 OSPF and then interface brief. That didn't tell us either. See there? Show IPv6 OSPF interface brief, and then that didn't tell me. See? So that's rather interesting. And see, I did that exact command. That didn't tell me which ones are in that process ID. Maybe let's see, allow time for the network to converge. Well, I gave it enough time. That's definitely enough time. It should have been told me which ones are participating in OSPF. But either way, I know I definitely got two interfaces in area 0. What's the next task here? Next task was task 7 on router 2. Ensure that IPv6 unicast routing is enabled. Remember, that turns on IPv6 on the router. And then create OSPF routing process that uses process ID 600. And then enable OSPFv3 on all interfaces that connect to the routers within area 0. So we got to do the same thing, except on this guy right here, router 2. So we got to do router 2. And then on these interfaces right here, that interface there. Bloop. This interface here and that interface there. We need to turn on OSPF. and put it in process ID 600. 600. I don't know if I said that right in Spanish. Let's go back to router 2. Turn on OSPF or turn on IPv6 with IPv6 unicast routing that enables IPv6. Then we go to router OSPFv3 600. And look at this command right here, or this error right here. OSPF, we got a level 4 message, says no router ID. OSPF process 600 cannot pick a router ID. Please configure manually or bring up an interface with an IP address. So let's see here. Do we have any? So we can't even turn on. It can't pick up router ID right now. So let's do this. Let's see. Show IPv6 interface brief. We do have some IPv6 addresses, but remember at the beginning what I said about router IDs. The router ID is going to be a IPv4 address, right? So even though we're working with IPv6, the router ID has to be an IPv4 address. Let's see what IPv4 addresses we have. Show IP interface brief. None. See, unassigned, 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 unassigned. So we can't even give it a router ID. We don't have any IPv4 addresses on here. So we got to do it manually. So what does he say here? What is the next thing he says here? Next thing he said, and that's probably what they're trying to catch me with. On router 2, display information about the router, about the running IPv6 protocols. Well, let's do this first. Let's put all the interfaces in area 0, which was this interface here, right? That one here, and this one here. What interfaces are those? So IPv6 interface brief is most likely going to be, it's not the serial interface, right? Because the serial interface is, router 2 does not have a serial interface. Yes, he does, but it's back there. So we're not worried about that. We worried about this interface and that interface, right? Which is what I said. So, which is this, probably this FA00 and the FA01, right? So let's go to global config mode, interface FA00, IPv6, OSPFv3. Well, we don't do v3, just OSPF. And then the process ID was 600, area 0. It puts that interface in area 0. The other interface was FA01. So interface FA0/1. Y'all with me so far, right? We did FA00. Now we're going to do 01. Or maybe it's vice versa. I don't know which one's which. IPv6, OSPF 600, area 0, right? Much easier than network statements, man. That's what I love about IPv6, at least in that case. Show IPv6 protocols. Let's do show IPv6 OSPF. Did we get a router ID yet? None. We got quad 0 there, right? So we still don't have a router ID, but we have IPv6. Process ID 600 turned on. We have how many interfaces in there we got? He don't even say. Oh, just interface? No. Forgot what it was. How we did that last time? I don't even remember. I don't know. Anyway, what was the next step? And this is probably what they want us to do right here, right? So, did router 2 automatically generate a router ID for the routing process? If so, what did it use as its router ID? It did not. It used, well, actually it did, but it said 0.0.0.0. That's, I don't think you use that as a router ID, but that's what his router ID is right now. It's not going to be really unique. So if somebody else runs into this problem, on router 1, configure the OSPFv3 router ID to 1.1.1 for the process, for the routing process 600, OSPF version 3 routing process 600. So let's go back to router 1, this guy right here, right? This guy. We're going to go back to him and finally give him a router ID. Right now he's using his IP interface brief. He's using that IP address as his router ID. That's how come he was able to pull one, because he had an IP address configured on him, right? So we go back to global config mode and we say router OSPFv3 600, and we say router ID. We give him the router ID of 1.1.1.1. That's telling us to reset the process with that command right there, right? Clear IPv6 OSPF process. So clear IPv6 OSPF process. Y'all got any questions so far? Am I losing anybody? Or y'all let me know. Yes. that should, let's see what his router ID is now. Should be 6 OSPF. And now my router ID is quad 1. And then what do they say next? Step 10 says on router 2, manually configure the router ID of 2.2.2.2, right? Because now he's using 0.0.0.0.0.0, right? Go to router 2. He's using that as his router ID. We're going to change that to 2.2.2.2.2.2.2.2. Y'all hear me that like button. Zaya said but we haven't created router ID. Exactly. We just did it right now. We're going to do one right now again. So yes, glad you pointed that out, Zaya. Router OSPFv3 600. Give him the router ID of 2.2.2.2. Right? And now let's show IPv6 OSPF. And now he had 0.0.0.0. Now he's got, come on, man, wake up, mouse. He's on the other side over there. Now he's at 2.2.2.2, right there. See that? So yeah, I'm glad you pointed that out, Zio. So yeah, we haven't created. We had to wait till 9 and 10. I guess they want us to see what happened if we don't set that router ID. That's why they made us go in that order. If you don't set a router ID, it said, hey, it gave us that error, right? It threw up at us right here. Where was that error at? It gave us this error right here. Please configure manually or bring up an interface with an IP address. So he couldn't pick a router ID because we didn't set one. You have to manually set one. He had some IPv6 addresses on here, but with OSPF version 3, it uses IPv4 addresses as the router ID. So good. I'm glad you pointed that out. Step 11, to facilitate the identification of routers in Area 0 and to ensure the OSPF routing process, OSPF version 3 router process on each router can automatically create a router ID, refer to the IPv4 addresses table and assign the appropriate IPv4 address to the loopback 0 interfaces on each router in Area 0. That was a mouthful. Basically, they want us to go ahead and set these so that way we ain't got to run into this problem anymore. Go ahead and set a loopback address for this guy, loopback address for that guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy. Go ahead and give them loopback zeros and then give them, so that way it'll automatically set that router ID. Remember, because we're going to pick the highest loopback address. So that's what they want us to do here. So we're going to go to, even though router 1 already has one, he already has his router ID, we're going to also give the loopback address, that IP address as well. Because that is what they have in the address guide. We go scroll up here. We look at the address guide. Where is that address guide at? God damn it. There it is. No. There it is right there. So they want us to give these loopbacks right there. So on router 1, interface loopback, floopback, floop, loopback 0, IP address 1.1.1 /32, and then go to router 2, give him that loopback address, same 2.2.2. So go to global config mode, interface loopback. Right, y'all with me so far? Look, see, loopback 0, 2.2.2, and then we're gonna do on router 3, loopback 0, 3.3.3, because that way the routing process is gonna pick the loopback with the highest address, which we're gonna have only one loopback anyway, and then automatically set that router ID. That's what we're doing here. So now loopback 0 on this guy, IP address 2.2.2.2, 255/32, right? And then router 3, where's he at? Right here. Y'all with me so far? Here's router 3 over here. There's router 3, this guy. And then we're going to do router 4 and router 5 and give them their respective loopback addresses, right? That way, when we set OSPF on them, it's going to automatically set the router ID. So router, interface loopback 0. IP address is going to be, IP address is, 3.3.3.3, 255. Y'all with me so far? And then router 4, where's he at? He down here somewhere. Router 4 down here. No, I don't know. Moved him and shit. Global config mode. We go to IP interface loopback 0 and give him the IP address of 4.4.4.4 /32. He said if no router ID is configured. Yeah, like we were saying, if we don't get the if there is no router ID that is configured, we have to manually set one if it's not automatically done. And it'll automatically do one if there is a IP address that is configured, and that's pretty much what we're doing here. Yeah, 4.4.4. Now we got to do router 5 and give him the 5.5, right? Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, Mr. West. Anybody hear the Kanye West Donda album yet? I haven't heard it yet. Interface, I haven't been checking for Kanye after the graduation album, to be honest with you. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't even gonna lie. Interface loopback 0. IP address is 5.5.5.5/32. Right? Y'all with me so far? And let's just do a show IP interface brief. And he got the 5.5, so he should be good to go. The next couple steps they want us to do here to facilitate the IDs, set the loopback 0 on each router in area 0. So we did that. Configure router 3, router 4, and router 5 as members of area 0. Ensure that IPv6 unicast routing is enabled. And configure OSPF process. So basically the same thing we did on router 1 and router 2, we got to do the same thing for router 3, router 4, router 5. Y'all with me? So if you just tuned in, you can see the whole process over again, right? Wash, rinse, repeat, right? Router 3, we're going to set, exit, router OSPFv3 600. And then once we do that, we should see that it automatically picked that IP address, right? So show IPv6 OSPF, right? And we'll see he picked 3.3. See, that time he picked it automatically. He didn't give him a 0 or nothing. So now, what interfaces we need to put? There's 2 serial interfaces there, and then 2 fast Ethernet interfaces. So we need to put those fast Ethernet interfaces in there. So what we got? Show IP interface brief. It is fast Ethernet 00 and 01, right? With me so far? So we got to put that interface and that interface in right here. I'll show y'all just in case somebody couldn't see it from over there. We got to put this interface and that interface in area 0, right? That's what I like about IPv6 OSPF or OSPF version 3. We don't have to work with network statements. So in this case, interface FA00 IPv6 OSPF 600 area 0. Do the same thing with FA00 right over here, or 01 rather. Interface FA01. Y'all hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to your boy. And if you aren't joined to the Discord server, you would have known that I streamed today at 8. I started at 8:30. So there's a link to the Discord server. Make sure you join. That way you know when I'm canceling or if I'm moving my streams. Typically I stream Monday through Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But today I started at 8:30 because I had just shit to do and I just be tired, man. So, but I'm here streaming. OSPF 600 area 0. That should put those 2 interfaces in area 0. Show IPv6 OSPF interface FA00. No, it says it's not enabled. That's what's weird. That's what's weird to me when you do it that way. That's weird. Show IPv6 OSPF though lets us know that we have 2 interfaces in area 0. So I must be missing some command. I don't know what. So, oh, now it's up. Now it's up. It just joined. It just made a neighbor. Show IPv6 OSPF interface FA00. No. Interface. Nope. OSPF interface brief. Nope. Show IPv6 OSPF. That lets me know I got 2 interfaces. That's it. Fuck it. All right. So let's we did 00. What about 01? What about 01? 01. No, that wasn't 01. What was the interfaces? I can't remember. We said, yeah, 00 and 01. That's interesting. Interesting. All right, let's do this. Yeah, we put both interfaces in area 0, didn't we? Yeah, I put 0, 1 and 0, 0. So yeah, we got two interfaces there. All right, so let's go to OSPF router 4, and we're gonna do the same thing, router 4 and router 5, and then run some show commands and call it a night. So we're on router 4, router OSPF 600. No, my bad. OSPFv3 600. Y'all see, I almost did. Y'all see what I almost did right there, right? I almost put turned on OSPF version 2, which is for IPv4, right? So I'm so used to doing that. Let's do a show IPv6 OSPF to see if he picked his router ID, which should be 4.4, and we sure did. Let's go ahead and go on the interfaces. Do show IPv6 interface brief, and it should be what interfaces? FA00 and FA01. So FA00 and FA01. Let's go to. Let's do a range command. We should be able to put both of them in there, right? So interface range FA00 through 1. Why couldn't you do that? I couldn't remember why we couldn't do that. Interface range. Does the interface range command not work? That's interesting. That is rather interesting. Interface range. Why can't we do the interface range command? I guess you can't do that. I thought you could do that on routers. Maybe on routers you can't do that. That's weird. Yeah, you can't do that. Interface FA00, IPv6, OSPF 600, area 0, and then do the same thing on 01, right? Y'all with me so far? OSPF 600. I was trying to do both at the same time. I'm just doing them one by one in that case. Let's do a show IPv6. We should get a neighbor now at this point. At least one neighbor, right? I turned it on router 4, so he should at least become a neighbor with this guy right here. We should see a syslog message in just a minute here. Them two right there became neighbors. And there it is right there. He became a neighbor with 3.3.3. Who's that? That is router 3. So now we turned it on over here. We get the router 5, and we're going to put turn on OSPF here, turn on OSPF there, and then he should have two neighbors. He should have a neighbor there, and he should have a neighbor there. Router 1 and router 4 should become his neighbors. So let's go to router 5 and do the same thing. Go to global config mode, router OSPFv3. What's that? 600. IPv6. I'm sorry. Let's get out of this. Interface. Let's see what interface they are. Let's see what interfaces they are. Show IPv6 interface brief. And those interfaces are FA00 and FA01. And I thought you could do the range command. Interface range, you can't. That's weird. That is rather weird. 0/1. So we say IPv6 OSPF 600 area 0. And then interface FA00, same thing. IPv6 OSPF 600 area 0. Just going so damn fast here. And now he should get two neighbors. He should theoretically get two neighbors. Let's go ahead and give it a minute here while that router finds his neighbors there. Howdy do, neighbor? Got my Ned Flanders on right there. Let's see. And there go router 4 became a neighbor. The process ID 4.4.4. Theoretically, we should get another neighbor who should be what? So he became a neighbor, and then 1.1 should become a neighbor. And there it is right there. 1.1.1. There it was. So not enough time to read this article, but I'll read it anyway. Let me take a little break here, right? Attackers can weaponize firewalls and middle boxes for amplified DDoS attacks. Shit, hackers can do anything nowadays, right? Weaknesses in the implementation of TCP protocol in middle boxes and censorship infrastructure could be weaponized as a vector to stage reflected denial of service amplification attacks against any target, surpassing many of the existing UDP-based amplification factors to date. Detailed by a group of academics from the University of Maryland and University of Colorado Boulder at the Usenix Security Symposium, the volumetric attacks take advantage of TCP non-compliance in network middle boxes such as firewalls, intrusion protection systems, and deep packet inspection boxes, or DPI boxes, to amplify network traffic with hundreds of thousands of IP addresses, offering amplification factors exceeding those from DNS, NTP, and Memcached. The research, which received a Distinguished Paper Award at the conference, is the first of its kind to describe a technique to carry out DDoS-reflected amplification attacks over the TCP protocol by abusing middle box configurations in the wild. I damn sure hope there were no hackers at the damn symposium over there, like taking notes and shit. A method previously deemed effective at preventing such spoofing attacks. Well, I guess you got some white hat people or some people that are, like the, I forgot what they're called, the good hackers, basically. So, and then they give us pretty much kind of like a way, a way that they I guess kind of like how you say it, like an animation of how they did it. So we look at this thing right here, right? This little animation right here, weaponizing meter boxes. We send an HTTP GET to get some pornography there. The middle box expect to miss some more packets. Middle box injects traffic to block connections. Pew! Sends it over to the victim, and the server is just like, So this is over again. Expects to miss some packets. He sends a GET. I guess they already fished a handshake. He looks over, blocks, and that's pretty much how the attacker. So this is the attacker there. Anywho, let's move on with the show. What was the next task? Next task. Configure. Okay, so we did this already. We did router 3, 4, and 5. On router 5, display information about the running IPv6 protocols. Did router 5 generate a router ID? And we did figure that out, right? He was 5.5. Maybe we didn't. Let's see. Show IPv6 OSPF, and we'll see he generated 5.5.5 as his router ID. And that's how we can tell, right? I don't know why IPv6 protocols don't work for me. Show IPv6 protocols. It don't tell me. I thought they would have at least told me some information about the process ID 600, but apparently not. Task 2, verify. So we're just going to be running some show commands here. In this task, you will examine the output with various show commands to verify the operation of OSPFv3 within area 0. On router 1, let's go to router 1. He is up here. Bloop, bloop. Display the IPv6 routing table. How do we do that? Show IPv6 route, right? We're so used to show IP routes. That'll show us the IPv4 routes. We got to do show IPv6 route, right? Multiple routes here. Verify that router 1 has learned routes to all networks within the area 0. The routes learned through OSPFv3 are annotated with an O, right? We learned that with with version 2. Use the output to answer the following questions. How many networks has router 1 learned about from its neighbors? Well, the connected and local routes are the ones that we know that we know that they're configured on us and they're directly connected to us. We didn't learn that from anybody else. The routes that we learned remotely from other neighbors are going to be annotated with an O. Or static if there was, but there is no static routes. So in this case, we got 1 OSPF route, 2 OSPF routes, 3 OSPF routes, and then this is our local route. Don't worry about that. That's not it. So we pretty much learned pretty much 3 routes, because the ones that are directly connected are the ones we didn't learn those from anybody else. They're directly they're just like they're on us. So we didn't learn about those routes to anywhere from anybody else. What is notable about the 2001 DB8 B055 103 blah 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 network? Where is that at? It's definitely consistent. What's notable about it? Right here. That's what they want to know. The one ending in 103. This one right here. I see that we've got 2 ways to get there. We got that route right there, and then we got that route right there. So we got 2 ways to get to that network. That's what's notable about it, to me. Unless y'all see something else. Yeah, so this is from router 1's vantage point. Where's router 1? He's right up here. He can get to this network via FA00 or FA010. So he got 2 ways to get to that network, and they put them both in there. I guess I can't remember. I guess OSPF version 3 puts 2 if they're equally. I don't know. They don't load balance or nothing, so both the routes are in there. I thought it would have just put both. It would put the best route in there, but they put both routes in there. Whatever. On router 1, examine the OSPF version 3 LSA database. Y'all know how I feel about the LSAs, man. There's like 11 of them, and I have yet to memorize them. But let's go ahead and take a look. How many unique advertising routes are identified in the OSPF Type 1, or at least they're Type 1. I know the first one that's in there. Are identified in the OSPFv3 Type 1 router LSA group. Let's see. We do that with what? Show IPv6 OSPF database. We have Type 1 is usually, oh, look at that. It didn't even tell us. Type 8. See, IPv4 don't do that. Let's see. OSPF database. I guess this is router link. This must be the Type 1 right here. Netlink. This is router link. Netlink. Link type 8. Link states. Intra area prefix. Let's see. How many unique advertising routers are identified in the Type 1 router LSA? So I guess that is 1. That is not necessarily unique. So that is just 1, 2, 3, 4. So I guess that's 4 unique. For some reason he got, no, that's my bad. There it is right there. This is Type 1. That's not Type 1. That must be Type 2. I can't remember. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we got 5 unique advertising routers in the Type 1 group. How many we got? We got only 6 on question 2. And then we're going to call it night. On router 1. No, we did that already. On router 1. Question 3, task 3. On router 1. Examine OSPFv3 Type 2 network LSAs in detail. So that's Type 1. This should be Type 2 right here, Netlink. Where's he at? Netlink. There he is right there. This should be Type 2. Right? Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. Y'all know I still haven't memorized those just yet. Netlink. Type 2. And is one of the routers functioning as the designated router for more than one network segment? I'm assuming this one because it comes in there twice. Yes, because there's a link ID 1 and a link ID 2 there. But it doesn't tell me which ones. I guess these would be considered designated routes for each of those segments. I don't know. And if we don't know the answer, we can go to the bottom. So let's see. Question 3. Question 3 says, where is it at? It was task 2, question 3, which should be down here. There he is right there. OSPF database. Oh, we got to put in the network keyword to see that. To see that, we got to put network keyword. Let's go back to the other one too. Router link. And he said to determine how many unique, and we did that. So we was right with this one. To find out the let's see, because there's 5 routers, you should see 5 entries. Yeah, so on that one. On this one, on router 1, issued this command. We got to do database network is what we got. So we got to do database and then type in network to see the answer to that one. And the question was, go back and see what that question was again. Y'all got any questions or anything? Am I losing anybody, or just we almost done here? We got 3 out of 6 questions, and we go call it a night. They want to know, is one of the routers functioning as the designated router for more than one segment? Let's see. When we put that network statement there, link ID 1, interface ID of the designated router. So yeah, it looked like it might have been what I just said. Interface ID of the designated router. And there it is right there. 1.1.1 for that first one. Next one, 1.1.1. And then the next ones are 2.2, 3.3, 4.4. So yes, I was correct in saying that. But I would have had to, if I would have put in the network keyword, that tells me who the designated router is. So quad 1 is a designated router for 2 separate networks, basically. That's basically what that is saying. Question 4, with 4 sub-questions there. On router 3, display the OSPFv3 neighbor table. Use the following questions. How many OSPF neighbors does the router have? So let's go to router 3. You want to know how many neighbors he has. Well, we know it's going to be one. It's going to be 2 neighbors, but we'll run that command anyway. Show IPv6 OSPF neighbor. That lets us know we got 1, 2 neighbors. That lets us know right there. Does this differ from the way OSPF2 identifies neighbors? Let's see. The neighbor ID, priority. It tells us the state. Nah, it looked the same other than this interface ID, because I don't remember seeing that with OSPF version 2. This interface ID don't really show up. Can we do? I don't think we'll be able to look up show IP OSPF neighbor, because we don't have any version 2 neighbors for OSPF. So this right here don't look familiar. So we'll go and check on the questions towards the end. Are any of the neighbors the designated router or the backup designated router for each network to which router 3 is attached? Looks like it, yes. 2.2.2 is the designated router, right? 2.2.2, he's the designated router. And 4.4.4 is the backup designated router for that network. So he's the backup designated router for this network. And 2.2.2, where's 2.2? This is from router 3's vantage point. Router 4's backup designated router. Router 2 is, so he the designated router for this network right here. Right? Question 5 and then 6, and we'll call it night. We're almost done. On router 5, go to router 5, which is down here. Bloop, 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 bloop. Right, that's this guy right here. That guy right there. The question was, display the OSPF. Bucky Rouse, late to the party. How's it going? It is going. We're just doing a quick OSPFv3 lab, putting a single area. Remember, OSPFv3 is basically the IPv6 version of OSPF. So it's a lot easier because you don't have to work you don't really work with network statements. You just go to the interface and then put that in the OSPF process with just like IPv6 and then OSPF, the process ID, the area it's in, and that's it. You ain't got to work with network statements. So it's a lot easier than OSPF version 2. So, but appreciate you for tuning in, Bucky. On router 5, display the OSPFv3 statistics. How many times has the shortest path first algorithm been run? Now I know how to do that. We go to router 5, and as a matter of fact, it even tells us right there. We just do show IPv6 OSPF, and then it should be right there. SPF algorithm executed 8 times, right? Y'all know what that is, right? SPF stands for shortest path first. Is basically like the mathematical computation it does to find a shortest path somewhere, right? It's the same algorithm that is used in GPSs, so like Google Maps and shit, to help you find the quickest way somewhere. So the same way these routers find the quickest way to get somewhere, that's exactly how Google Maps works, by using the SPF algorithm. It's been executed on this router 8 times. Last question. On router 4 is down here. Display information about OSPFv3 interfaces. What is the configured hello timer for the FA01 interface? Now, I need to remember what this interface is, this command is, because I thought I did that and it didn't show me nothing. So we need to find out the hello timer for FA01 on router 4. So we're on router 4 right now. I would think it's show IPv6 OSPF interface what he said, 0, 1, right? 0/1. And he says OSPF is not enabled in FA01. So let's do a show run interface FA01. Let's see. Says here, I enabled it for process ID 600. So I don't know how the hell it's not enabled. What other way can we find out the hello timer for that interface? Show IPv6 OSPF interfaces? No. I put flood list. What the hell? Interfaces? Nope, that ain't gonna work. Brief. Interface brief. That ain't gonna work. Show IPv6 OSPF brief? No. Let's see. Neighbor? No. Summary address? No. Database? No. We could just do the process ID 600. That ain't gonna work. We do process ID and then interface. And then interface FA0/1. No. So let's see what, because I can't tell. Does anybody know the show command that's going to tell us the hello timer value for IPv6? Because I'm at a loss here. I would have thought this was it right here. Show that right there. Show IPv6 OSPF interface and then the interface number. And it says OSPF is not enabled. I'm confused. I don't know. I know you're late to the party, Bucky, but what you think it is? I would have thought that would have told me what the configured timers are. I guess we could just do show IP OSPF, IPv6 OSPF. That's not going to tell me the timers. Let's see. Well, we got some timers in here. Minimum LSA, pacing timer, retransmission timer. We need to know the configured hello timers. And neither one. This don't tell us that. So, this is what I love about Boson NetSim. If you don't know what the hell you're doing, you can just scroll down to the bottom and it'll tell you what the answers are. And let's see what we got. They said on router 4, issue the following command. Now, isn't this what I did right here? Show IPv6 OSPF interface. Did I not do that? Y'all let me know if I did that or not. Show IPv6 OSPF interface. Right? Show IPv6 OSPF interface. I did that. See there? Maybe we didn't turn on unicast routing. I don't know. IPv6. Maybe I didn't turn on unicast routing. We got to go to global config mode. IPv6 unicast routing, and then try that. Show IPv6 OSPF interface. Nope, that ain't it. Bucky said, "Give me a sec. I'm thinking database. Let me see. I don't think it's that. Let's see. The database is just gonna tell us the LSAs. I'm trying to figure out the configured hello timers. That's a good guess though. Show IPv6 OSPF. You said database. Yeah, that ain't gonna tell us the timers. This gives us the age, which are timers essentially, but they're the age of the LSAs. Another thing we could do is we could just grade the lab, since we pretty much did all the configuring. Unless we're missing something, this will tell us, right? We can just go to grade lab and it'll tell us what we're missing. So, and we pretty much wrapped it up. We did all the show commands that we needed to do. This was the last question. Anyway, we just needed to do some show commands. So grade lab, and what are we missing here? It says here we missed one or more commands on all 5 of these fucking routers. Let's see what we're missing here. On this guy, oh, address family unicast. Interesting. Huh. I thought you just do IPv6 unicast routing is what I was missing. Huh. So we got to do, I did IPv6 router OSP. They wanted us to turn it on another way. There's like 2 ways you could do it. I did it this way. Router OSPFv3 and then the process ID. They want you to do it this way, which is pretty much the same thing because I turned on OSPF. Man, listen, man. That's one thing. Y'all tell me what the difference is with these 2 ways of turning on OSPF. That's weird. Plus, we got to do this address family unicast. I thought this is what would have just turned on unicast routing. So I need to figure out what the hell that is. Address family, IPv6 unicast. If anybody want to break that command down for me, I need to see. Let's see. Let's see what it said here. Address family. So, okay. So we need to do IPv6 that. And then they want us to do this log adjacency changes. I don't remember them asking for anything like that. So we're missing this command, and we're missing this command. We did these extra commands right here. So we didn't have to do this. We just needed to do this and that. Notice right over here in the red is what we're missing. Over here in the blue is what we did extra. So we need to probably do that on all of them. Yep, pretty much. So Zai said, is version 3 set on that router? I think 1 is the process and 1 is specific on the interface. Oh, I'm like this. So not sure what you all did. I see. Okay. So, okay. But either way, we turned on OSPF for sure. But yeah, I need to see what the difference between them two right there. So I guess, okay, so I see what you're saying. I guess one of them you work with this. If you do it this way, you're going to be working with network statements. If you do it this way, it's interspace specific. Is what I'm guessing. I don't know. So let's go ahead and do it the way they asked us to do it. So I'm going to go to router 1 and do it that way. So, and then we're going to remove the other. So router, what they said, IPv6 router OSPF 600, like that. And then to get rid of the other one, so no router OSPFv3 600. That turned it down. It should theoretically come back up, hopefully. Being that I put it here. So let's see. I'm going to go to router 2 and do the same thing. Actually, let's stay on here. Let's stay on here before I start fucking shit up. Let's see. Show IPv6 router, no, OSPF. We turned it down. Show run. Let's just do a show run. Let's see. IPv6 OSPF area 0. Where is my routing process? It looked like it's gone. Yep. So let's go back to global config mode, and we say IPv6 router OSPF 600. And I'm hoping show, and they also did this log adjacency changes is what they did. No. Let's see, show IPv6 OSPF. Okay, he's turning back on. He should be coming up in a second here. I don't see any log messages, so I'm assuming. Let's see, do we have any interfaces? How many interfaces we have in here? Show IPv6 OSPF. This don't tell us, but it's definitely on. It's definitely up. So let's do this. Let's do router 2 and do the same thing. Where's router 2 at? Router 2. Where you at? Go over here. Get out of here and then remove. What was it? Router. Oh no. IPv OSPF. I got to think out loud here. So 600. Removing that. That's going to turn it down. And then we're going to say IPv6 router OSPF 600. I should turn that back up. Let's do the same thing. And they also did this log. What was it? Log adjacency changes or something? I didn't see what it was, man. I missed it. Do the same thing on router 3. Go to config mode. We say no. Router OSPFv3 600. And you see it's turning down over here. And we're gonna say bring it back up with IPv6 router OSPF 600. Y'all let me know the difference. If y'all know what the difference is between the two ways of turning on OSPF. I thought it was router OSPFv3 and then the process ID. The application said it needed to be, Boson said IPv6 and then router OSPF 600. Y'all let me know what the difference between the two. We can Google it together and find out right now. You said, I think one is the process and one is specific on an interface. I'm looking to show, so yeah, still accomplishes the same thing. That's what I thought, man. It accomplishes the same thing, but when you know, Boson is really specific with their grading. They want you to do it how they did it. So even though you fix the problem or you accomplish the same task, they want you to do it the way they did it. So, and that's the only reason why I'm changing this. And I wanted to kind of give me give me my grade, man. Give me my A+. Let's go to router 4, do the same thing. Go to global config mode. No router OSPFv3 600. Tears that down. And we're going to say router IPv6 router OSPF 600. Maybe I got to do a clear IPv6 too. Router OSPF or router clear IPv6 OSPF 600 process. Yes. And router 5. Go to global config mode. No router OSPF v3 600. I should tear something down over there. And then we're going to say IPv6 router OSPF 600. And let's clear the process again. Clear IPv6 OSPF process 600. Oops. Yes. Now, let's see what neighbors we got. Show IPv6 OSPF neighbor. He don't have no neighbors. Router 2. Let's do a clear process. Clear IPv6 OSPF process. Yes. Show IP. Let's do a show run because I need to see what the hell is going on here. Did we get that process? There goes our process. Process 600 area 0. That all looks good to me. I thought I seen something else that they wanted to show IP OSPF IPv6 OSPF. Let's see, show IPv6 OSPF interface FA00. Not enabled. 01. Not enabled. Whatever. I probably screwed it all up. But either way, we're missing some commands. Who are we missing? Oh, the router ID. The router ID on that one. The router ID on that one. And we didn't do router 4. I guess we didn't do router 4. Let's go do router 4. We got Morning Star Ability. Appreciate you for tuning in. We're just doing OSPF version 3, which is basically the IPv6 version of OSPF. We're wrapping it up here. I'm just kind of redoing the lab. We're missing the process over here, which I thought I did that right there. We removed it. And then we did 600. Oh, I clicked Control Z before I even got it done. That's why. That is why. IPv6 router OSPF 600 and show. Let's do a clear. IPv6 OSPF 600 or OSPF process. Yes. And then let's see. Let's make sure we have some router IDs. He's 1.1.1. He's good. Let's show IPv6 OSPF. What's his router ID? He's got none. So he needs to be, I thought we gave him a loopback. So he should have picked one. Whatever. He's supposed to be 2.2.2. Public fake mode, router. IPv6 OSPF. What is it? 600. Oh, you got to do OSPF. My bad. Router OSPF 600, and then router ID 2.2.2.2. And now let's see. Show IPv6 OSPF. Does he have 2.2.2? Yes, he does. All right, let's do the same thing with this guy. What's his? Show IPv6 OSPF. He is 3.3.3, so he's good. What is your router ID? Show IPv6 OSPF. You are 0, so you need to be 4. Y'all see what I'm doing, right? IPv6 router OSPF 600. Process ID, router ID is 4.4.4.4. I don't know if I got to do a clear. I'm going to do a clear on all of them afterwards, after this. Show IPv6 OSPF. You are 0.0. You need to be 5.5. Router OSPF 600. Router ID is 5.5.5.5. Now I say we do a clear IP OSPF on all these guys. Clear IPv6 OSPF process. Yes. Reset the process. Let's do the same thing on this guy. Clear IPv6 OSPF process. Yes. Let's do the same thing on this guy. Clear IPv6 OSPF. Do not do this on the production network. Yes, unless you got some kind of change window. Clear IPv6 OSPF process. Yes. Do the same thing on the 5th one. Clear IPv6. This kind of resets the process on all of them without us having to reboot the whole router, right? OSPF process. Yes. And they should at least see some neighbors, right? Show IPv6 OSPF neighbor. You don't see no neighbors. That's rather interesting. What am I missing here? We did turn on unicast routing. But if we grade it, what are we missing? Let's see, what are we missing now? Router 1 is missing something. Router 1 is missing a router ID. I don't know what happened to it because I thought I did that already. But we'll see. Let's see. I thought we said we gave him that router ID, so I don't know what the fuck this thing is talking about. You see that? Whatever. Let's go ahead and do it anyway. IPv6 OSPF 600 or router OSPF 600, and then they wanted the router ID of 1.1.1.1, which we did that. So let me do a show IP interface brief real quick because we gave them that loopback, and I don't understand why I didn't select that automatically. Whatever. More so, I've been away for 2 weeks working out, off town, on sporadic projects. I need my fix. Glad to be back. Hey, same here. I've been just busy with work and stuff. I haven't streamed in about a whole week. So, yeah, this is like my first time back, as you can see. So we just get right back into it as well. Control G, let's see, we grade the lab. And it says here, you completed the lab successfully. But, I mean, I didn't see neighbors anymore, so it said we completed the lab. So I mean, I'm good with that. If y'all good with it, let's see. Last time we saw neighbors when I did it the way I did it. I normally do it, but show IPv6 OSPF neighbor. See, he don't even see neighbors no more. Router 5 should have had 2 neighbors, that guy and that guy, which is what we had last time. So who knows? Who cares? Show run. Let me just make sure that these interfaces are participating now. Let's see if that's what it was. Yeah, area 0 right there. Unless maybe we shut down the interface and then bring it back up. We can do that too. We'll probably do that and see. But I think we're pretty much done here, man. What was the last thing they wanted us to do? Yeah, they wanted us to check the configured timers, which let's do this. I'm gonna shut some interfaces down and bring it back up. See if that makes a difference. 00 and 01 on this guy. Interface FA00 shut, and then 01 shut. And no, the interface range command doesn't work before anybody asks. No shut. And then let's bring up 00. No shut. IPv6 OSPF. He don't see no neighbors, so those came back up right there. What about this guy? I turned some interfaces down, but whatever. None of these interfaces are passive, so I don't know what the hell is going on here. Who the fuck cares? All I know is that the lab was graded and it said we got all the commands that they needed. I just did them differently. If anybody wants to, let me Google it real quick. I'm just gonna Google it. The difference between IPv6 OSPF or IPv6 router OSPF and then the process ID versus router OSPFv3 and then the process ID. So router OSPF PFv3 command versus, there it is right there. I'm Googling it real quick and we'll see the difference. We're gonna wrap it up here in a second. Y'all make sure y'all join that Discord server, so when I cancel my streams or whatever, or if I do it at a different time like I did today. Today I streamed at 8:30 instead of 8 o'clock. If you have if you're on a Discord server, you'll get the inside scoop for that. So I'm reading this Cisco Learning Network here, and I'll show y'all real quick so that way we can do it together if y'all want to see. Router OSPF v3 or IPv6 router OSPF command, and that's exactly what I want to know, right? I did it this way. I did it that way. Boson NetSim wanted me to do it this way. I needed to know the difference between the two. And that's what he says here. He wants to know, I have used at times when the task calls to need to run other address families in the same process. And that's very clear. You must use router OSPF v3 to accomplish this task. But what if that's not the case? Should I use OSPF router IPv6 OSPF v or router OSPF v3, or does it not matter? And I guess this is in the CCIE question. What did they grade? What did they block all this out? You got to log in to check the answer. I guess I got to log in. Am I logged in? Don't look like I'm logged in. Let me log in real quick. Do y'all know the answer? What's the difference between using IPv6? Oh, and this is the study plan that we was using. If y'all want to copy this, make sure you join the Discord server as well. I'm gonna put a link to that in the Discord server. So if you want to copy that spreadsheet, it's a massive spreadsheet that we got a bunch of YouTube videos, what chapter, the book, the official cert guide has whatever chapter we're going to be going over, the lab manual labs we can get from Boson NetSim. Like, for example, today we did OSPF lab. It has various labs in OSPF. So sometimes I'll get labs from GNS3 and we'll do it with EVNG and stuff. I am going to put a copy of this spreadsheet in the Discord server. So if you want to copy that, get you a copy of it, just join the Discord server. So I'm gonna log in, see what the difference between the two commands are. Unless y'all know. we're going to wrap this up. Let's see real quick. The OSPF processes. Traditional OSPFv2, traditional OSPFv3, and new OSPFv3 that uses address families that supports both IP stacks. That's why it's important to read through the tasks before starting. If you're asked to configure OSPF in IPv4, check the IPv6 section if you can only have one OSPF process and if the task involves the same routers. Another hint would be if the interfaces in IPv4 and IPv6 addresses 2 or not, since in order to route IPv4, blah, 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 blah. Man, just agreed. Depends on the task. Okay. So it really depends. I guess like Bucky said, they both accomplish the same thing. But I'm just wanting to know, I guess it really depends on the task. I used router OSPF v3 and then the process ID. But Boson NetSim wanted me to do the other way, right? I'll show y'all real quick how they wanted us to do it. They wanted us to do it this way, right over here, like that. IPv6 router OSPF and then the process ID. So either way, I guess it really depends. What else we got in the networking network industry here? We gonna call it night again. News. I think I read this one. Cisco's campus switch dominance threatened. Oh, who the hell is trying to take over? Campus switching has dramatically changed over the last 3 years as new features that support digital transformation and a subscription-based business models have gained greater acceptance. This has opened new opportunities for emerging suppliers to take on dominant players like Cisco, said somehow. Blah, blah, blah. Cisco just a few years ago controlled 2/3 of the market, with other substantial players like Hewlett-Packard, Enterprise, and Huawei, each controlling less than 10% market share. Now campus switching is entering a new era of growth led by new players flooding the space thanks to new virtualization use cases. So basically, people that the other companies that are trying to take over is Arista, Juniper, and HPE. And I'm not going to read the whole article. I'll leave a link in the chat if y'all want to read the rest of that article. So basically, I don't think anybody gonna come over, man. Cisco done got a stronghold. They got the market under chokehold, man. I'll leave a link to that article in the chat right there if y'all want to read the rest of that. But anyways, I typically stream Monday through Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll probably do another OSPF version 3 lab tomorrow. Most likely, let's see. We'll probably do either a GNS3 lab or we'll do the lab manual and use EVNG. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We'll figure it out, though. For now, comment, like, subscribe to the network.